Hi, this is Nanette Shackelford. I'm reviewing the article Bennington Joins Other Districts, Allowing Students to Bring Your Own Device. This is by Julie Anderson. It was in the Omaha World Herald, February 9th, 2015. The article talked about an 8th grade English class that used Bring Your Own Device to play Kahoot, make posters, and create videos to offer advice to authors. It was interesting to me that Bring Your Own Device is less common in Nebraska than one-to-one programs. According to the Nebraska Department of Education, out of the state's, at that time, 249 public districts, 32 Nebraska districts supported BYOD programs, and 134 provided one-to-one access. The Nebraska Department of Education e-learning specialist did say that other districts do allow devices. They just don't actually call it Bring Your Own Device. The article did say that Bring Your Own Device won't save money in the short term because they need to make sure, those districts need to make sure that low-income students are not at a disadvantage. They have to make sure that the devices available for students. They have to make sure that they have devices available for students who don't have or aren't allowed to bring their own. And Bring Your Own Device districts must provide wireless access. In this article, it talked about how the digital divide is shrinking, in that many more students have cell phones with internet capabilities or smartphones, and a growing number of families have at least some internet access at home. It also talked about Omaha Public Schools and how they're using the idea of BYOD in their strategic planning. First of all, they talked about how they'll first explore to see if they can provide one-to-one to their schools. And if they can't afford one-to-one, they would consider Bring Your Own Device. And you do need to remember that the majority of Omaha Public Schools students are from low-income families. It did say that because of loosening restrictions on cell phones and other devices, it's already created de facto Bring Your Own Device pockets at such schools as Millard, Papillion, La Vista, Bellevue, and Ralston. Because they've loosened the restrictions on cell phones, students can talk, text, and surf during lunch and during class passing times. And of course, in the classes, they could do classwork and research and those kind of things. They really, this article felt that Bring Your Own Device is a way to leverage the technology that the kids already have. The Bennington district noticed an uptick in students using the school's wireless network with personal devices. And students really appreciate the idea of BYOD. They knock out essays and do research on their cell phones. And of course, they never forget their papers at home because they have their cell phones with them at all times. What I thought was really interesting is they thought that BYO Bring Your Own Device was smart, especially for large school districts. There was the Clark County School District in Las Vegas has 319,000 students. Almost 60% of those qualify for free or reduced meals. They approved Bring Your Own Device in 2013. They do have one-to-one for 12 middle schools that have a higher level of poverty. And Papillion La Vista already spends $60 per student to buy devices. So they're considering BYD as well. So larger districts, it's more cost effective for them to offer BYOD, as well as keep on updating the number of devices they have available for students that can't bring something to the school with them. Also, technology access to kids is increasing. An Edison research survey in 2014 found 73% of 12 to 17-year-olds had a smartphone. This is up from 60% in 2013, so 13% increase. And then the Bennington teacher Crambeck, who had the BYOD in his English class, estimates that about 75% of the students in his class bring devices, and they're really good about sharing devices with those who don't have one with them. There's some planning that's required if you are going to have a BYOD program. Districts need to make sure that they have a robust wireless network, and then they have great filters too. You have to provide training for the teachers and preparation for the parents and the students, such as teaching appropriate computer use, making sure they have good digital citizenship. Here's a final quote from that article from Bennington's Jason Schmidt, who's an IT director. I don't want to just get stuff because it's cool. I want to think about how does technology allow us to do something more interesting or engaging, or allow kids to reach out to other people or show their creativity, which I think is a very important thing that you need to think about. What are your goals and what do you want to really happen in the schools? So here's my thoughts. First of all, I really think this is a great article. It did a great job of providing specific examples of how and why you want to implement a bring your own device program. I really like that the author highlighted the idea that this is more cost effective for large school districts, and it does work for low income families. I will tell you that I do have some experience in this, although there are lots of devices where I did teach at Hastings College. I did have a lot of classes where students had to do presentations, and on the presentations I always required them to do activities, and a lot of them, kind of the default activity that they always chose was doing a Kahoot, which got kind of tedious after a whole bunch of Kahoots, and they didn't have the greatest questions on them. But it's a great thing to utilize. People like to feel like they're more hands-on when they're actually answering questions with their cell phone. They just needed to think about having some sort of prize when they won a Kahoot. But it is utilized, even if you do have one-to-one or those kind of things, they're still going to use their cell phones. Also, I have noticed in the last few years that my children and my spouse and students, they use their cell phones. Sadly, my spouse uses a lot to fact check me, so which is quite annoying. But he does find that sometimes I am actually wrong, many more times than I wish I was wrong. But students can also use it, and my spouse and children can use it to do research and to answer any kind of questions, which is good and bad. I can see both sides of that. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a master gardener class or something like that, and the speaker, who's an expert on whatever topic they're talking about, says something, and then somebody else Googles it and finds out that no, you're actually wrong, that's not what Google says. So here's my final thought on this whole idea, and that is, I think that cell phones and computers and internet and Google are great tools. They're wonderful tools to find out some basic information on. But I did go to a conference where we were talking to employers for advertising and public relation jobs, and we had one employer who was telling the professors that were gathered there that they were very disappointed about a brand new employee who they asked to solve a problem. And the way that they solved the problem is they Googled the problem to find out the answer on Google of how to solve that issue or that challenge. And they didn't like that. They felt like they should actually use their brain and try to come up with a solution to that problem rather than having technology do it. So that I think, once again, great tools. Computers are fabulous tools, but you still need to utilize your brain. You need to be able to have socialization with other people, to speak to them, not just use devices all of the time. So great tool, but is it the best problem-solving tool? I don't really think so. So great article overall. I think bring your own device is going to happen anyway. You just need to have some rules to make sure that they're used appropriately. and that people understand that especially students, need to understand that digital citizenship is very important to their personal brand. Make sure they don't post things that are inappropriate or that are inaccurate. So that's all I have. Thank you.